Hey everyone, it's Talia here. Welcome back to another video on my channel. I have a jam-packed video for you guys today. I will definitely leave some timestamps in the description box below. We are going to go through a bunch of new Magpie Beauty Canada items. I am also going to show you how to do a flawless ombre with some of their pigments, and I'm going to design a nail set using a variety of different items that they carry. Let's dive in and waste no time and get started. I'm going to be sharing a few different things with you in this video. First up, we have their new Holo There collection. So it's 5 gel polishes. I'm actually wearing one of them on my nails right now. So all of these have like a really light holographic sheen to them, and it's subtle, which I'm liking about it. I find them to be pretty unique. And then I also have 2 really interesting pigments to share with you. We have Baby and we have Cruella, so a white pigment as well as a black pigment. And there's a lot in general that you can do with pigments, but today I'm going to try really hard to show you how to use these for like a baby boomer nail or an ombre nail. And I also have 2 nail art stickers from Magpie Beauty Canada, which I'm going to incorporate into a design. So I think what I want to do is I want to go ahead and swatch all of these so that we can kind of see how they look. And you can see that holographic look. And then we're also going to play around with these 2 gel polishes here. I have Misty Morning and Forget Me Not. So a really nice gray and then a sheer kind of pink to do ombre type of nail with those pigments. It was actually 2 sets ago that I wore this one on my nails, and it is a really subtle, creamy pink color. And I like that it's not a super bright pink shade. It's got a really nice subtle look to it. So I think this is going to work fantastic for doing boomer French fade look using this baby pigment here too. So let's dive in. I will timestamp this video so that you can kind of scroll to what interests you the most, whether it's the holographic gel polishes, the nail tutorial at the end of the video, or how to do an ombre with these pigments. Let's go through each one of these and we'll talk a little bit more about them, and you can see just the different tones that are with them. First color up is called Rosy Posy. I'm sure you guys know that I love this one. It is a fantastic rosy pink shade, and the holographic colors in it are very subtle, but it definitely packs a lot of punch. Second color up is called Angel Delight. This is the one that I have on my nails right now, and this is more of a soft pink, but almost like a soft neutral pink, and then again lots of that fine holographicness to it. Next color up is Heavens to Betsy, and this one is so pretty. It's a soft blue shade, but it's almost got that grayish tone to it as well. I think this would be a fantastic color to use in place of a neutral just because it is so subtle. Next one up is the purple in the collection, which is called Hey Lila, and this is a nice bright purple with a soft holographic look to it, a fantastic color for summer. And finally, the very last one, which is the one we're going to use in the tutorial, is called Pandora's Box. And this is an interesting color because it's not quite a silver, but it's not quite a neutral. It's almost like a grayish with like a holographic pink to it. Before I get started playing around with the pigments and doing the ombre, I did want to shout out 2 YouTube channels that have been extremely beneficial to me for this technique. First up is Nails by Katie Dutra. She has a whole video dedicated to ombreing with pigments, and she has a ton of valuable information in that video. Next up is Beauty Matters. She also has a tutorial using the Magpie pigments and a ton of great information on it too, and she does a little bit of a different technique, and I kind of used both of the techniques to show you guys, but definitely check out those videos as well. I will leave them linked in the description box below because they have some great tips and tricks for this technique as well. I painted 2 thin coats on my swatch sticks here, and then I went over with a thin layer of the matte top coat, removed the dispersion layer, and then we're going to go in with our pigments. I wanted to try my luck with the French fade first, so I'm going to take a small amount of the baby pigment, and I just am using this really stiff pointed brush. It's actually an eyeshadow brush, and I have heard that the Magpie Beauty glitter applicator brush works really well, but I didn't want to use it for this tutorial because from watching both of those girls' videos, they recommend having a separate brush for your different pigments, and for example having a brush just for the white, just for the black. So I didn't really want to mess up the one brush that I have, and what I did is I just put the majority of the product down at the free edge of this nail, and I'm just gently dragging it back with what's left on my brush. I'm also just working that pigment in until I get a look that I am happy with. I really just kind of wanted to play around with it just to see how it all blended. I wasn't expecting this nail to turn out as good as it did. I honestly thought I was going to have to play around with this quite a bit more than I did. But again, both those girls' videos were very helpful with this as well. This next step I do not think was necessary, but again, at this point I was just kind of playing around with them. I'm going to go in with a really thin coat of that Forget Me Not gel polish color and just kind of cover this pigment up so it's not as bold and as bright. I really wanted just a natural French fade, and I was kind of curious to see how it would look if I did this technique. But I think that if you didn't want it to look as natural as this and you wanted it to be a little bit more of a brighter white, you could have just gone in with your top coat right at that step where I was, and it would have looked perfect. Like, it had blended so nice. Now the black ombre is where I was starting to get nervous because I have never been able to do a black ombre in my life, and I was thinking, okay, this might be a little bit easier, but I'm going to show you guys some of my mistakes here. That's what this little clip here is my mistakes. I initially started with a super stiff brush because it worked so well for the white one, but I used way too much pigment. You do not need very much of this pigment at all. It is super, super concentrated. So I went in with a stiff brush and then it was just too dark. It wasn't blending as much as I was hoping it would. So I went in with this kind of, it's a stiff brush, but it's a little bit fluffy too, just to see if I could get it to blend a little bit more, and it just was not working using the two different brushes. So after this, I actually went and rewatched Nails by Katie Dutra just to see if I could get a little bit more tips and tricks from what she did with her blending, and then we were able to get it going. Scratch that nail, it just didn't work, so I'm going to go in and create a different nail here, and this is just me putting on the second coat of that gray. I just wanted to show you guys that this gray shade is really nice. It's a nice medium gel polish gray color, but it has a little bit of a see-throughness, which I kind of like about it, and I think that's why it works well for this technique. So in Katie's video, she used a more fluffy eyeshadow brush for the pigment blending, and I think this technique works so much better. You're not getting as concentrated of an amount of pigment at the free edge, and then as you're slowly blending it back, you're almost picking up a little bit of that excess to create that faded look. And I just kind of went back and forth with it just until I got the look that I was going for. I didn't really have to add too much more pigment to it, but if I did, I just picked up some of the follow that had fallen below on the paper towel as opposed to going back in and picking up some fresh pigment. That way it wasn't too concentrated when I was applying it down. Katie gives so many good tips in her video that I never would have thought of. So she has some really good curing tips about this as well. And if you don't really follow her curing tips, you're going to get this happening. So when I'm going in with a matte top coat here, because I wanted to do a second layer, you can see that that pigment is blending into that gray. And the reason that that is happening is because I didn't partially cure my matte top coat before I went in with the pigment and then cure it again afterwards. If you do that, then you won't have a problem with it blending. Again, seriously, just go watch her video because she explains it a lot better than I'm doing. So after my matte top coat is cured, I am going to do a second layer, and I think that this is key, especially with the black, is to do this in layered steps. And I just did not put very much pigment on my brush here. I'm slowly blending it back into that gray, and I'm really just focusing on the blend here. So basically whatever is left on my brush is what I am blending back into it. And something that I will say about this ombre technique is that you do not want to judge your ombre until you have your top coat on. It will look a lot better once you get your top coat on here too. After I applied the pigment, I popped it back into the light so that it could do its final full cure. And then when I'm applying my top coat, I'm starting at the gray and I'm slowly working my way down towards the black. So again, once this top coat is cured, it's going to look a lot more blended and a lot more flawless. This technique, seriously, I was so impressed with ombreing with pigments. I think this is the way that I need to do it from now on, and especially if you're going to be ombreing with gel polish, it just works so well. Now I want all of the different pigment options that Magpie Beauty Canada has. Now on to the nail tutorial. I will be the first to say that I'm not entirely sure what happened with this nail design. I really just wanted to play with some of that ombreing a little bit more, use some of that rosy pink color, and this is what I ended up coming up with. I have my tip stands all ready to go. I'm going to take some of that Pandora's box color because I was thinking that if I was to do an ombre on top of a glitter, this would be a great background to use for it because it is kind of a neutral silvery type of shade. Plus it's super unique, and if you look really close at it, it does have a hint of some pink holographic glitters to it, which I thought would pair really nice with that rosy posy color that I really wanted to use because I thought it was so pretty. I'm just going to go in with 2 thin coats on both the thumbnails and the pinky nails. You guys know I like to make thumb and pinkies match because that way it kind of closes in my nail design. Taking some of that rosy posy color, I am going to do 2 thin coats on both the ring fingers and the middle fingers. I want the pink to really stand out in this nail design and be kind of a focus, but I also want it to pair really nicely with the black and the silvery shades that I had picked too. So at this point in actually painting the pink on the nails, I wasn't entirely sure what I was going to do on top of them. I just knew I wanted to use it in the design. This gel polish shade from Magpie Beauty is one that I featured in last month's video, and it is a see-through kind of glass black gel polish. I decided to put this all over the pointer finger. Again, I wasn't entirely sure what I was going to do on the pointer finger at this point, but I knew that I wanted something kind of fancy and unique on this particular nail, so I thought this clear gel base would give me a little bit more options for art. Now that my bases are applied, I'm going to move on to the art. So I'm going to take some of the velvet matte top coat on top of these silvery nails so that I can move on to the black ombre on these nails. I end up using the black pigment on 4 different nails, and I feel like I was able to get a little bit more of a feel for this pigment and how to work with it. My best tips for using this pigment would probably be to just work in really thin layers. I actually ended up putting some of it on my palette here as opposed to in a little dish because I felt that it was a little bit easier to blend out on the palette, kind of like what you would do with paint. If you're working with watercolor paint, you blend it out on your palette as opposed to in the paint pan. I felt like that worked a little bit easier for it. Work in layers, work really thin, less is more, and the fluffier the brush, the better. I also played around with my brush movement. So initially I was just going up and down with the brush, and I decided to turn it to the side because there was a lot of pigment that wasn't being used there, and I was able to really blend the sides nicely by doing that. I just want to show you laid out on the stands what I'm kind of going for this design so that you can get an idea. And because I wasn't too sure what I was going to do for the artwork on top, this gave me a better layout for how the whole look was going to come together. Let's start with the pointer finger. I decided to go in with a thin layer of some base gel, and then I'm just going to apply some of the Mother's Day glitter collections that I featured a couple of videos back. These would be one of my hands down favorite product recommendations from Magpie Beauty Canada that I've been trying out lately. I love how thin these flakes are. I love how easy they are to apply. I love that they work so well with gel polish because they are so thin. They're super, super sparkly too. So at first I was kind of thinking that I would just put the glitters in the corner, and then the more that I looked at it, I was like, I like how this is looking. So I decided to put the glitters all over the entire nail, and I was thinking that it would give this nail a lot of depth and dimension, but still look kind of see-through and clear because of the black clear gel that was underneath it. I think using these glitters in combination with like a clear gel that was maybe purple or blue would look really neat too. On the ombre nails, I decided to take some of these nail stickers and put them where the black kind of meets the champagne-y, silvery type of color. I thought this would look kind of cool with the flowers almost, or not flowers, greenery leaves coming out of the black. I thought that would give it a really neat look, and I actually really like how that turned out. One of my fallbacks, if I'm not entirely sure what to do on a nail, but I know I don't want to leave it plain, is to apply some Swarovski crystals. So that's what I decided to do on the pink nails, is just do 4 different crystal clusters on all of the nails. And I wanted to use crystal colors that matched the other nails as well. So I'm going to use some clear, I'm going to use some Cosmo Jet, I believe it's called, some greige, and then I had these like rainbow black crystals in my collection as well that I thought paired really nicely with that pointer nail. My last step is to top gloss all these nails. So I Before I'm doing the top gloss here, I actually went in with a matte top coat, 2 layers, so that I could buff it if there was any glitters kind of poking through. And then I'm just going to top gloss over top of the rosy pink type of nails. And that is how this nail design turned out. I hope that you guys enjoyed watching the behind the scenes of how I created it. If you could name this nail design, what would you call it? I'm not entirely sure what I would call it. I'm not entirely sure what happened here. I do like how it all came together. I almost think it looks kind of like a rocker set of nails with the pink and the black and the ombre, but definitely comment below and let me know what you guys think of it as well. If you have tried ombreing with pigments, let me know what you think of it. I am blown away with how much easier it is, and I cannot wait to do some more of it. So this nail design will actually be available on Ivory and Talia Nail Designs. Our brand is launching on Saturday, and we are going to have a lot of nail designs available for you guys then. We'll also have custom slots available as well. Make sure you're following me on all of my social media, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!